What they do, what it is, this is Orion aka Brass Balls bringing you a deep dive tape stash for the books. Before I take a dive into this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube Orion Hip Hop, where you can peep previous episodes of Deep Dive Tape Stash, dope obscure hip hop, and a lot of great music from yours truly, Orion aka Brass Balls, here to serve y'all with that free bass. Now, without further ado, we are going to put on our snorkel gear on and take a dive into this R&B joint. I rarely explore the R&B genre, but this is a little doozy that I picked up in Columbus, Georgia at a dope record store called Blue Canary Records. I was digging out there, got some records, and I always like shopping for like some singles, but like I've always said, man, the singles are kind of like the last treasure holds. It's very rare to find singles and in good condition. I ran across this Aaron Hall joint. I'm not a big Aaron Hall fan, to be honest, but it's the only single I found that was worth the purchase. So I copped it because this comes from one of my favorite movies, and that is Juice. The movie Juice came out in 1992, and it is a hip-hop classic. There's so many things that I could go into with the movie, but this episode is not about the film itself. Although I will say the Juice soundtrack was amazing, and I talked about that soundtrack on a podcast I did with my homies, Old Head Ed and DJ Tres. We had the audio rap club where we were in search of the 5 Mic soundtrack. That's right, we were exploring soundtracks that predominantly came out in the 80s and 90s that had an overwhelming roster of hip-hop and trying to find which was the soundtrack that nailed it with a perfect score, a 5 micer, if you will. Juice came close, man. There's a lot of bangers on this soundtrack. Naughty by Nature's Uptown Anthem, and of course Eric B. and Rakim's Juice, Know the Ledge, come to mind as the staples of that soundtrack. Aaron Hall's Don't Be Afraid. To Aaron Hall fans, I'm sure this is a great track. This fit well for the movie. They used this specifically in Yolanda's sex scene with Q, which today doesn't age too well, given that there was a significant age difference between Yolanda and Q, and now that is on some pedo shit. Really, doesn't matter that she's female and he's male. It was still, she's in high school and she's a nurse, like in a hospital. You know, even as a shorty, I felt bad for Frank. Frank is the dude that was her ex that was actually there, you know, ice grilling Q, like, oh, so you the youngster that's fucking my broad? Ah, man, I still feel for Frank, you know what I mean? Pobrecito. Going into this track, let's talk about it. Don't Be Afraid, the Nasty Man's Groove is what you hear on the soundtrack and in the movie. Now, the Nasty Man's Groove was produced by the same people who produced the original version, and that is Gary G. Wiz and Hank Shockley. Hank Shockley, most notable for the Bomb Squad with his brother Keith. But Gary G. Wiz was a part of that Bomb Squad and is often overlooked as a member who contributed to the Bomb Squad Public Enemy sound. On this track, the chords make me think of LL Cool J's Around the Way Girl. The track is dope for the most part, some R&B stuff, not really my cup of tea, but if you really into that R&B thing, then this might be your gem. But the original Don't Be Afraid, the track is completely different. It's got some heavy upright bass going on and it's real gritty. I will say that they could have at least given us something on the B-side, maybe one of the rap tracks from the album, whether it didn't have to necessarily be the Eric B. and Rakim joint. They could have put the Big Daddy Kane joint on this. That would have been dope to have on this tape single. Aaron Hall comes with many controversies. He has a lot of Diddy affiliations. Much respect to Aaron Hall, but he had that interview on Vlad TV where he talked about his relationship with Gloria Velez and how he stole her from Mad Lion, just crept up on her, and he referred to her as a puppy. Once again, man, you know, that kind of thing don't age well nowadays, because I think she was 16 when she got with Aaron Hall, and he laid it down. So, you know, Juice, one of the things I talked about on the podcast I did with my brothers Old Head Ed and DJ Tres Audio Rap Club in search of the 5 Mic soundtrack, was the fact that there was a song on the soundtrack by Juvenile Committee produced by Demetrius Shipp Sr. Now, Demetrius Shipp Sr. would later on go and produce for Pac on the Machiavelli album, the song Toss It Up. And Dimitri Ship had a son, Dimitri Ship Jr., who was born November 20th, 1988 in Carson, California. Dimitri Ship Jr. would go on to play Tupac in the movie All Eyes on Me. The resemblance is shocking, and a lot of people to this day think he's really Tupac's son. Pac was actually living in the Bay Area in 1988. So you could do the math on that. Carson, California is only about 5-6 hours away from the Bay Area. Before you go on with your aluminum tinfoil hats with me, I want you to recognize Dimitri Ship Sr. is an accomplished producer. And if you go to and find him on Instagram, he too looks a lot like Tupac. I mean, these guys could have been distant cousins. Much respect to the Ship family and their contributions, not only to music, but also to that flick, All Eyes on Me. If you haven't checked it out, go peep it. So yeah, this was a short run. The tape didn't offer too many tracks to really talk about. Go check out the Audio Rap Club in search of the 5 Mic soundtrack. The episode we had on the Juice is a real dope episode. Shout out to all my peoples listening in. Peace.